No one in the town of Blackpine talked about the old radio tower anymore. It stood like a skeletal finger pointing to the sky, deep in the forest, rusted, broken, and officially shut down for what felt like an eternity. Of course, that just made it more appealing to us. 5 friends, full of that reckless teenage confidence, decided to camp nearby for the weekend. We scoffed at the local warnings, the whispers of strange broadcasts and disappearances. To us, they were just ghost stories, fuel for a good campfire tale. The first night was perfect, almost disappointingly normal. We got a decent fire going, the flames dancing and spitting sparks into the deepening twilight. We passed around snacks, told stupid jokes, and recorded goofy videos documenting our brave little adventure for social media. The air was crisp and smelled of pine and damp earth. It was peaceful. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're the only people left in the world. But in Blackpine Forest, that kind of quiet is a warning. Then, just after the clock ticked past midnight, Leo's phone buzzed. It was a sharp, jarring sound in the stillness. We all looked at him. There was no signal out here. We'd all checked a dozen times. Yet, a notification glowed on his screen. It was a radio broadcast alert. He tapped it, and a calm, eerily smooth voice whispered from the tiny speakers, "This message is not for you." And just like that, the signal vanished. We all looked at each other, a little freaked out, but quick to dismiss it. It had to be a glitch, right? A pre-downloaded ad, a system error, anything but what it sounded like. We forced a few nervous laughs and tried to get back to our stories, but the mood had shifted. The forest felt a little darker, the shadows a little deeper. A few minutes later, another phone buzzed. This time it was Maya's. Then, almost instantly, Chloe's phone lit up, followed by Ben's, and then mine. All at once, it was impossible. A synchronized glitch. No way. We all stared at our screens, at the same impossible notification, and as we opened it, the same calm voice spoke from all 5 phones in perfect, chilling unison. "This message is not for the living." The words hung in the air, and then silence. A profound, unnatural silence. The wind died. The chirping of the night insects stopped. Even our campfire, which had been crackling merrily moments before, went mute. The flames still danced, but they made no sound. It was like the entire world had been put on mute. Our hearts were pounding in our chests, a frantic drumbeat against the crushing quiet. That's when Chloe pointed a trembling finger into the woods. "Look, through the dense tangle of trees, a faint red light pulsed. It was a slow, rhythmic beat, like a malevolent heart. It was coming from the direction of the old radio tower. But the tower was dead. It hadn't had power in decades. It was a skeleton of rust and wire. It couldn't be lit. Every instinct screamed at us to pack up, to run, to get as far away from that light as possible. But fear is a strange thing. It paralyzes you, but it also pulls you in. Curiosity is a siren's call, and against our better judgment, we started walking towards it. With every step we took, the air grew heavier, pressing in on us, making it harder to breathe. Our flashlights, which had been working perfectly, began to flicker. But they weren't flickering randomly. They blinked in perfect synchronized rhythm with the red light from the tower. On, off, on. It was a coordinated dance of light and shadow, and we were trapped in the middle of it. The woods felt alive now, watching us, guiding us. When we finally broke through the tree line and stood at the base of the tower, the sheer scale of it was terrifying. It loomed over us, a dark monument against the starless sky, the single red light at its peak pulsing ominously. And then a sound shattered the silence. A loud static-filled crackle erupted from a series of old, rusted speakers mounted on the tower's legs. They hadn't worked in 50 years. They were caked in grime and bird droppings, but they were on. The static cleared, and the same calm voice we'd heard on our phones echoed through the clearing. But this time, it wasn't a generic message. It started listing our names. Leo, the voice was clear, intimate, like it was standing right next to him. Leo froze, his face pale in the flickering flashlight beams. Maya let out a small gasp, clutching Ben's arm. Chloe, Ben. And finally, my own name echoed in the clearing, sending a jolt of ice through my veins. It wasn't just our names. The voice began to speak of things it had no right to know. It whispered secrets we had never told another soul. It spoke of our deepest fears, our private thoughts, the regrets that haunted us in the dead of night. It methodically unraveled us, one by one, laying our souls bare for everyone to hear. We stood there, paralyzed, exposed, and utterly terrified. Then the voice focused on Ben. It described a childhood memory of his, something he'd told no one. Then it shifted. It started describing his death. It wasn't a prophecy. It was a statement of fact. The voice described the time, the place, the feeling of his last breath. Ben screamed. It wasn't a shout of fear. It was a raw, guttural sound of pure terror, of a mind breaking. At that exact moment, the red light at the top of the tower flared, bathing the entire forest in a blood-red glow. And then the whispers started. It was like the forest itself had found its voice. Thousands of them, overlapping, murmuring, rising from the leaves, the trees, the very ground beneath our feet. They were everywhere. We finally broke. We ran. We scattered in every direction, desperate to escape the tower and the voices. But it was no use. No matter which way I ran, the tower was always there, just behind me, its red eye fixed on my back. The whispers swirled around us, growing louder, more distinct near each person. I could hear Leo's name being chanted, then Chloe's screams tore through the night, sharp and brief, followed by an abrupt, horrifying silence. One by one, my friends were being swallowed by the forest. I don't know how I made it out. I just ran until the red light faded and the whispers became a dull hum in the back of my skull. I stumbled onto a road as the sun came up and was found by a driver who thought I was a ghost. I was the only one who came back from Black Pine Forest. The doctors said it was trauma, shock. But I know what happened. I haven't spoken a word since that night. I can't. But the tower isn't finished with me. Every night at exactly 12:07 a.m., my phone buzzes. There's never any service, but the notification is always there. The signal is still active, and it is still broadcasting. Just for me. If you enjoyed this horror story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our next terrifying tale. Thanks for watching.